Good evening, good evening. My name is Kwabena. Welcome to today. I want to share with you knowledge deficit. And the subtitle is They Can Only Control You by What You Don't Know. Knowledge deficit. They can only control you by what you don't know. We are all introduced to this earth, or we were born into this earth, and none of us came with any knowledge when we came. How the world operates. Whatever we know, they told us. Somebody else gave us information. And if what they told us is wrong, for a very long time, they can use that knowledge to control us. Every soul, every human soul, I believe, yearns for liberty, yearns for freedom. Every human soul that I've ever encountered, every human soul wants to be in charge of their destiny, of their lives. They want to be in charge of their time, they want to be in charge of their lives, they want to be in charge of their talent, they want to be in charge of their finances. Every human soul that I see wants to be in charge of their time, of their relevance, of their importance. Everything. Every one of us wants to be in charge of our lives. Yet, the lives that we live really are a reflection of the program that they gave us. And if I say they, I'm talking of the system that you were born into. After all, when they will send you to school, you didn't decide the course content. You didn't decide how the science should be taught. You did not decide how the maths to be taught. You didn't decide how the economy should be run. You know, they have, most of these economists that they send them to school, if you look at it, they told them something, that this is how you run the economy of a country or economy of something. How about if what they told us is deficient? You know, they told you about something. They told you about this is how a company is run, and so they send people to school, and they say that business studies, or they say MBA, those things, and they have modules. Yes, they have done some data, they have done some research, and they put those there. And when we come out with that kind of information, or what the school, what the community told you, or even what the politicians tell us on radio, or what they put on TV, all these things are the ones that have programmed us as to the life that we live, as to the level of our productivity, of our resource. As a matter of fact, if you look around Africans, for example, the only difference between us and the rest of the so-called developed country or developed countries is deficit of knowledge. And I'm not talking of the knowledge that is in school. I'm not talking of that. I'm not talking of the knowledge that they put somewhere, because we have a lot of big men. We have a lot of big men in almost every field. But yes, our people go around everywhere in the world looking for help. We look for help. That's why people finish college here, or they live here and they say that no, the life here is not good, I'm going to America, I'm going to England, I'm going to Canada, or in the bid to look for freedom. They want to live their lives. They so believe that if they go there, they'll be able to express at least they'll be financially independent, they think, or they'll be able to live the life they want. They want to enjoy life. But these ideas came to them by somebody. They did not make these ideas just by themselves. Usually we all think that, some knowledge that we have is original to us. No, it's your program. Somebody told us something. Somebody told us about God. Somebody told us about Africa. Somebody told us about ourselves even. Somebody told us about anything else we know. They told us this is how a phone is supposed to be used. They told us this is how a house is supposed to be built. They told us every other thing that we know. They told us this is how you marry. They told us this is how you make money. What I have seen is that those who are living a liberated life and those who are living the life which they wish they want to be liberated, who have control, those who have control over their time, their resources, they have freedom, they are creating the life they want. There is a knowledge that they have. And those who are trying to get to that level, also there is knowledge that they have. And so I'm talking about knowledge deficit. And that they can control you by what you know, or what they let you know. What they told you is what they are controlling your life with. And until you start to ask questions, because when there is not the freedom, because every human soul wants the freedom, every human soul wants liberty, every human soul wants to express the life that they so wish they want, because that's how the Creator put in us. We don't want to be bound, we don't want to be crippled. That's why even, in the times that they had servants and slaves, you see that they want freedom. They don't want to be, they don't want to be chained. Nobody wants to be chained, put in a harsh environment. Nobody wants that. That's why human beings complain when you put them in a bad environment. Same with the knowledge. Sometimes they will not give you a physical thing to control you, but sometimes over a long time, a particular pattern of knowledge will be infused in a culture, in a group of people, and that will keep them bound for a very long time. And that's what we see. So sometimes even the religion can they can use it to control you. And so they can control you from the media, they can control you from school. Even sometimes the family knowledge that they gave you can control you. They can even teach you God to control you. Can teach you God from the point of fear so much that you cannot do anything without being afraid of you being hurt or you being killed or they can cast some kind of spell on you for a very long time and you may not even know it. They can open the same book and tune you differently. And so I'm talking about knowledge deficit. And that is the difference between the one who is prosperous, successful, and the one who is subservient, is the knowledge difference that they have between them. So sometimes it's sad for you to look around, especially people like us, Africans, and look at the quality of knowledge that we are passionate about, the quality of knowledge of our experts. Because knowledge is not knowledge until it can produce results. Sometimes you listen to the radio and they say the man is a security expert. And the man has never gone to war. He doesn't know how to shoot a gun. He has only analyzed data and it gives it to us that he is a security expert. The same in other areas of our lives. There are a lot of people who have spewed out or given out a lot of information, and the only way that the information works is because it's coming from book, but they have no results to prove that knowledge works. Improvement or growth happens when there is improved knowledge. Results is the proof of productivity, is the proof of knowledge. And so when there is no results, when there is no improvement, when it's still stagnant, it means that there is knowledge difference. There is the knowledge deficiency. There's a deficit in that. There's lack of that knowledge, and that is really ignorance. There is lack of knowledge, and that knowledge that we don't have is responsible for the results that we are not getting. So knowledge is really responsible for any change that we want to see. We can only do what we know. We can only do what we know. And if you sit down and you look at the things that have given us knowledge in any country, in any community, and you look at our choices, You can easily link them, why we are passionate about these things and why we are not passionate about these things. Look at the way the knowledge comes to the people, comes to the group of people. So you look at any country, look at how the knowledge comes to them. You look at any continent, look at how the knowledge comes to them, because that is how they are influenced in the ability to make decisions and the choices and the results that they have, the development that they have, the quality of life that they have. It's a result of the knowledge that came to them. And so if the results is not matching the desired results, it means that there is difference in quality in terms of the knowledge that we are getting and the other person who is getting the results that we wish. So our results are proof by what we know, and it is seen in how we work things out. Understanding is different from knowledge. Understanding for me has human element in it. It's how, let's say you are selling this pen. You may have knowledge about this in terms of how it works. But for you to know who needs this pen, you need what they call understanding. Understanding. To know where this one is needed. But the knowledge is how, maybe how this one works. The wisdom is what produces this. But I'm talking of knowledge and how the deficit that we have in knowledge. So when there is poverty, when there is lack, when there are diseases, when there are things that we don't want, the proof is knowledge deficit. Because the people can only do better when they know better. They have controlled our time. They control our money. You think that you work and you control your money. They control it. They decide the fuel price. They decide the school fees that you pay for your children. They decide even the courses that you so much want to do. The environment decides that, the government. I'm not saying that somebody has sat down to define this. No, it's just that it's by default. Some things have come together over a long period of time, and they are deciding the choices of people. And they are deciding the choices of people because of the knowledge that is left in the environment. It may not be one person or group of people who are responsible for, to controlling how people think and the knowledge that comes to them. It's over, I don't know, maybe you can call it whatever you call it, but over time, you see that there is a particular kind of knowledge that is available to these people. And because of that, you can predict the results that they get, the lifestyle that they get, the quality of the life that they have. And so if you were when you were growing and they told you that when you finish school, go and look for a place to work. And when you are not, that's the only way that your school matters. The college that you went to matters. And that is a particular knowledge that they are giving you. Now the question is that, is it the best of knowledge or is it deficiency? This is the kind of question that you ask yourself. If you are not a child, if you're not 10 years, if you're not 5 years, and you're 20, 30, 40, you ask yourself, what is the quality of knowledge that I have? And what kind of results am I getting? And they always link to, your persuasions of life are even as a result of the knowledge that you are exposed to. And so if those knowledge, or if that knowledge is wrong, and you don't get somebody to tell you that knowledge is wrong, you will live all your life with that persuasion that this is the best of knowledge that you have. We see our expectation of politicians, our expectation of the media, our expectation of the world organizations, World Bank, all those groups, UN, African Union, even the presidency of your country. You have a particular expectation of them. Now that expectation is based on the common knowledge that is spread in that country. For instance, the politician can come to your town and they will promise you that when I come, I will build you road, I will build you school, I will build you hospitals. And the man is talking as if the money that he's going to use to build those are his. They have conditioned us to believe that that money is his. And so when he does it, we clap for him. Of course, he's better than the other one who stole it. But the point is that, is this his money? Did he create that money himself? Now the man comes on a road which is not good. He rides in Land Cruiser. He goes to the village, the children don't even wear any clothes. But the people have a certain knowledge. And so they are not even angry to say that this man is responsible for this kind of road. And if you are coming here with Land Cruiser, and we don't have hospitals, we don't have anything, and the money is not yours, we should be able to question you. Why are you coming here giving promises of this nature when you are not the one making the money? The country, you don't own it. But the people can only place demand when they have quality knowledge. When we don't have the quality knowledge, and the knowledge deficit is what these institutions that control people's destiny, people's life, people's finances, people's time, that is what they thrive on. The short of knowledge that we have. So you see how they control Africans, for instance, in the world. We cry, we fight, but they know that there's something that we don't know. That's why they continue to treat us the way they treat us. Anybody at all can say anything about Africans. You go to any airport around the world, look at how the Africans are treated, and look at how the rest of the world are treated. Why? It's because the majority of us have that deficiency, the knowledge. So we don't place much value on ourselves, and we don't demand that much value. And that's why these people, these institutions, it may not be the responsibility of one person. It is being a system that probably is in default now, which is running all the show. And they are running the show based on the history and the benefit of history. You know, so until the people stand up to say that we will not put up with this, they will enjoy the knowledge deficit of the masses. The only thing that they are afraid of is when the people start to say, we will not take up, we will not take this. And so, consciously or unconsciously, they can push a lot of wrong things on us. I don't know who is responsible, but they take us from another generation to another generation to another generation. I don't know who is responsible. Through the politics, through the media, through the education, through the family, through the culture. And so you can see that the people feel frustrated. The people feel like they are hemmed in. The people feel like they are chained. But then what do? They don't know what to do because nobody else is responsible anyway. And so they have let you know a certain level of knowledge. Is somebody responsible? I don't know where it started. But what I know is that because of knowledge difference, that's why they take advantage of us. As a group, and you as an individual is the same. The things that you have heard so much and you think that those are your persuasions are as a result of something that they told you. I have the same thing, the same ideas, the same philosophies, another person the same. We can only fight back, we can only question a lot of things when somebody else start to say that we have to look at this thing again. Because we look at it for the last 50 years, it's not working. For the last 10 years in the family, it's not working. For the last 5 years in your life, this thing is not working. It means that there is quality or there is difference in the knowledge that we have, or you have as an individual, or I have as an individual. And that the awareness will never be created until somebody else helps you to question. Sometimes it can just be a line, a phrase, and that starts a whole ripple of revelation that comes to you as to how you have the results that you have and the frustrations that you have, whether it's a group or whether it's an individual. And much of it is a program. The human being is only living the program that that he's been through. We are only living the life. Our persuasion of life is a program. It's where we were brought up, the knowledge that was given to us, the knowledge that somebody gave to us, the convictions that they put on us, the conditioning that they have sent us through. Those are responsible for the things that we put up with, and the things that we question, and the things that we don't question at all. And so a group of people can be conditioned to think in a particular way, to see the world from a particular point. And so far as it benefits our ignorance, our lack of knowledge benefits the establishment, they will never improve it. They will never improve it until you fight back. So say the prejudice around the world, until the people who are being treated that way fight it back. The other people are enjoying it, they don't care. So let's say you're an African, you work in another international organization, they pay you maybe 20% less of the same person of the same qualification, and sometimes they can keep that knowledge from you. You may never know it, and maybe you are even doing the double work. Or let's say you're a businessman, they give you a project and they pay you less what they would have paid a certain group of people. That difference that you don't know is the knowledge. You may not be aware. You may not have had a preview of what happened, what went behind you, and because you don't have that, you can work for them forever, and yet they are cheating you. The moment you get that knowledge, that this is how you've been treated, you get angry, and that is legitimate. You get angry, and it should not stop with the anger. You want to fight for the right. And that's why the people who ever fought for the freedom, whether it's independence, whether it's apartheid, whether it's slavery, you could see that there was a certain level of awareness that the people had. And until they had that awareness, the change was not coming. And so at the point where they did not have the awareness, that the difference was the knowledge that they did not have, the deficit. And so somebody somewhere started organizing, gathering some data, getting information, and said that no, we cannot put up with this. These people, if I study this, we are the only people they are treating this way. We cannot accept this. We cannot put up with this. That is a group of people. And when one of them gets enlightenment, he's able to enlighten the others, and he's able to gather momentum and fight for liberty and fight for liberation. Because every human is looking for liberty. Every human is looking for freedom. The same at the individual level. Your persuasions that you had, the things that they told you when you were growing up, and the things that you're living now, the lifestyle that you're living now, if you look at it, if you're not happy with it, it means that there is awareness that you don't have. And the moment you get that awareness, because you may have been confused, or you may have been trained to think in a particular way, and yet it's not giving results. So once it's not, for instance, your persuasion of how important finances are, how money is, and how they told you that how money is made. Now, if you are deficient in that, your lifestyle will reflect that, no matter the kind of college that you have gone, and no matter how much pay they pay you, salary that you get. There is a certain knowledge that they gave you, and that's a common knowledge. All the people who ever found out anything that brought freedom and liberation fought against the deficit. They fought against the knowledge that they gave you, or they didn't give you, that they were using to control you. And so they are using it to control groups, they are using it to control organizations, and not surprisingly, they are using it to control a lot of people in the world, a lot of individuals. And so your persuasions about money, about work, about life, those somebody told you. And if they were weak, they are responsible for the lives that we are living. So until there's awareness, until an awareness sets in, you will never improve on those things. You could grow all your life, and you will still live in the knowledge deficit. It's deficiency of knowledge. And so people can be occupied with things that don't bring in that freedom, that liberty, Because as a human being, the only thing that you are to establish is that freedom for yourself and that freedom for the other person. That dignity for yourself and that dignity for the other person. Yet you were born into this world that equip you very less for you to establish this freedom. And so we think that if we don't have the chains on our legs, it means that we have freedom. No. The freedom is really seen in the dignity that we live, in the prosperity that we live, in the aspirations that we can realize. So when a group of people live in lack and poverty and dejection, it means that there is no freedom. It will not be chains on their leg, but it's the knowledge, the difference that we have kept from them. It's the enlightenment that they don't have. And that is the best leverage of the one who is doing the controlling, the ignorance. Because the moment you get the light, the moment you get the knowledge, the moment you get the enlightenment, you start to question a lot of things. And so far as it's benefiting them, none of us probably is responsible for the knowledge deficit, for the control. But some people happen to be at the top end of it, and some people happen to be at the down end of it. So far as it's benefiting the one who is in charge, he's getting the money, he's getting the freedom, he's getting everybody to work for them, he controls a lot of things, they will not try to change the system for a lot of people. And so the life that you're living is a proof of the knowledge deficit that you have, whether it's wide, whether it's close, whether it's minimized or whether it's big. The frustrations are levels of the knowledge deficit that we have. So the one that they did not teach you or the one that they taught you, they are responsible for the lives that we are living. And largely, a lot of people's problems are hinged on finances and the lifestyle and the conditioning. This world runs on money, so to say. At least that's what they have made us believe. They have made us believe that money is so much important, and which it is. And they have made us to believe that you work for this kind of money. They have made us to believe that if you went to do this course, then you are better than the other one who did this course. If you went to college, then you are better than the guy who didn't go to college. Those are all knowledge deficit. Is it true? Because everything that is true should be absolute. It means that there should not be even one point of deviation. And it is not true that the guy who went to school is better than the one who didn't go to school. Because then there will never have been anybody who didn't go to school who ever lived any life which was prominent. So once we can identify 1, 2, 3 people who lived like that, it means that you cannot say that until you finish college or until you do this certain course, your life, you cannot live the life that you want. And so a lot of the knowledge that they have bundled for us to have, the training tools that we have in this world, the school, the media, the culture, the religious organizations, they are the one promulgating this knowledge deficit. And so people are living so much limited and unliberated lives. And enlightenment does not come to a lot of people. And that is really what is happening in Africa. The difference in Africa's destiny is the quality knowledge that we all need. The knowledge about ourselves, the knowledge about our identity. If somebody thinks that we are animals or we are not fully gifted in terms of brain, that is a lie. But you see, that person is saying that because they told him something which is wrong to make him feel like he's better, and then they told the Africans something which is wrong to make them feel inferior. And so a lot of them even entertain this kind of question because they see the results and they think that if these things are there, it proves that there's something wrong with this kind of people. There's nothing wrong. The only thing that is wrong is the knowledge. There's nothing biologically wrong with the African. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with the mind, with the strength of the African. There's nothing wrong. History does not support that. There have been a lot of things that the Africans have done around the globe. The only thing that you have a certain group of Africans who support this kind of ideology is because of the knowledge deficit. They train them, but they train them deficient of this kind of knowledge that will make them strong. So they have no identity as Africans. They have no identity, because identity is built on knowledge. So if you don't know, then you cannot identify. So you can bottle, you can groom a whole group of people with wrong knowledge about themselves, and they will become big, so to say. They will become head of institutions, and yet they don't have any idea of their identity. So they flow with the common, with what they told them. And so, for instance, if you gave birth to an African in, say, England, when they go to school, the kind of history that they will teach them about Africa will be the one which is dejected, will be the one which is weak, which is wrong. And so the African in that country has no identity. So they live a mirage life. And yet that environment that they live in is so hostile that they are perpetually doubting themselves. And if you continue to doubt yourself, they will never identify. And the fact that you are doubting yourself means that you have no identity. Because if you have identified it, then there's no doubt. And that is what they have put on us. And so it doesn't matter where they send the African to school and whatever profession that he has. There is no conscious data. I think the data that we have as an identity is the culture. And the culture is not enough build up for identity as an African, especially with the kind of prejudice on the African around, or the man who is black. There's so much prejudice around the globe on him. Part of it is the wrong side of history. The fact that they were enslaved and colonized by somebody. People still believe that the African is inferior because of that. People, even not those who don't look like us, even those of us who are Africans, a lot of people believe that they're inferior, and they believe that they have never achieved anything, and they believe that they are nothing. That's the fact. That's why we still see a lot of our people behaving like they are slaves, so to say, because they bow to the so-called standard and institutions. And major part of the problem is that there was not much quality knowledge, research knowledge that they put in school to say that if you're an African, this is the history that you have. This is the background that you're coming from. These are the heroes who have done something. A lot of the things that we know about us in terms of our achievement is just a folktale, so to say. It's just, somebody said somewhere from the mouth, and those are the things. It's not a common knowledge on the African, whether it's in England, whether it's in America, whether it's in Australia, people who are black, or whether it's in Africa. So if anybody asks any question which demands a lot of thoughtfulness beyond the shallow folktales that they have told you about, you see that you fidget. And when they pull out a lot of data to support the argument, you side with them. Why? Because you were not consciously trained in your identity. And that is a major thing. So if they can twist the knowledge in your identity, in your history, they can control you. They can control everything. They can control your resources. They can make you everything that they want to make you. Why? Because they control you by the deficiency in the knowledge that they gave you. And so you can correct the deficiency by getting the right knowledge as an African on your identity. And don't go and quote if you are in Christ all those jargons. Go to the church and tell them that there's free American visa. You see how many of them will go. So there's data, right historical data to fight that deficiency. Facts. People who are lived here, who are like us, what they achieve, over the span all these years. So that somebody will not tell you that you are nothing, you don't have anything, you don't know anything. Africans have never created anything. We can't even create, the funny things that they say here. We can't even create toothpick, we can't create this. And as if they are trying to compare us to create. No, they are rather putting us down. Because people create things here. The only difference is that you are using some kind of standard to say that what we create is not relevant. But we create things. And so the quality of knowledge for your identity will solve part of the knowledge deficit as an African. You need that. All around the world, all kinds of people teach their people properly about their history about their race, about what they have achieved, about what they have overcome. And some of them go into 2,000 years, 5,000 years. They try. Some of them go millions of years trying to teach their people how resilient that they have been all through history. The Africans who know this are people who individually learned this. It's not a structure. It's not a systemic thing that we have taught the people. It's not. So few Africans know this. But these are things that you teach your people. So you teach your people about their identity. You teach them about their history, and teach them about the value for lives, value for themselves. You teach them about the importance of and so you teach the people about their identity. You teach them about the achievement, the value for lives. You teach them about the importance of work, the importance of finances, the importance of working with their gift. And you teach them about creating our own tools to solve our own problems. Whether the tool is entrepreneurship, whether it's technology, well, to solve our own problems. When they want to control you, they will not give you tools. They will give you education and call it a tool. It's only to serve their interests. So they give you a little knowledge so that you can work with them. So you'll never be in charge of your life, whether it's a group or the country or the continent. You teach the people to how to make their own products and improve on their own services. And so far we are depending on the experts to help us to discover these things. And these experts were only given a gist so that they can interpret things to us, the rest of the world, the rest of us, So he's an expert in technology, he's a professor somewhere, he's a consultant. But where is the resource? Where is the product? Where is the services? Where are the services? Where the improved technology that is solving problem? So they create that deficit so that you always depend. You feel like you're deficient. You feel like you don't have anything. You feel like somebody else would always have to come in to solve all your problems. Why? It's because of knowledge that they got you exposed to, they got me. You commit to honesty, you commit to excellence, you commit to perseverance as an individual and even as a group. If you want to close that knowledge deficit, whatever you're doing, you commit to doing it to the best that there is. You commit to being honest, you commit to perseverance till you see results. You commit to constant improvement. Your life will switch the moment you feel that deficit, and it can be that quick. That deficit, the moment you create that awareness that, listen, there's more to what they have told me. What they have told me about myself, about finances, about work, about companies, about entrepreneurship, about even God. Because when we look at the results, if what they told us is true, we will not have this resource. And so all of us would have to find a way to close the deficit. And the advantage that they have on the African is the ignorance. It's not because the African is scarce. It's not because the African has a lot of problems. No, it's the ignorance. And so when we talk about the ignorance, we only think that the guy who didn't go to school is poor. It's about the only one who is ignorant. No. A lot of them are in seat of time. We can only judge that by the results. So we cannot have sustained problems and challenges and continuous poverty, consistent poverty, and say that we have experts. We don't. So you challenge the knowledge that they speak, they give us. We challenge them, and that's how we are going to get better. If we question the knowledge that they give us, and we say that, listen, this knowledge cannot. We look at the results and we see that there's something that they have not told us. And so they can only control us as long as they keep us in ignorance, and they can be anybody. So far as they are benefiting from our sweat, because the guy who is keeping the servants or the slaves So far as they are working for him all the time, he doesn't care. Because you can only get the freedom when there is a close of knowledge. There's close of knowledge. The difference between what he knows and what you know. The one who's doing the controlling. The difference between what he knows and you being the one who is controlled. If you close the gap, you can be free. You know, so you can be taught to be controlled. And so far, you can see that. You can see that how people, you know, when there was a time that we had. Okay, let me leave that. You can be taught to be controlled, and it can benefit. So far as it benefits others, they don't care. They will keep you forever. They can take your money, your time, everything that you have, and consistently continue to take that, unless some of you, I mean, somebody from the group or you individually, you get the awareness that, listen, this one is a program, and that I need my liberty, I need my freedom. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about knowledge deficit, and I'm saying the subtitle is that they can control you by what you don't know, or by what they let you know. And so if I have slaves, I'm not going to tell them everything so that they will get freedom. And that's surprisingly, that's how the word runs. And so they let you have certain kind of knowledge in school. They let you have certain kind of knowledge from the culture, from the politics, so that you don't challenge them for things to improve in your life and for things to improve in the community. And yet, until a lot of people know, the status quo will be the same. So when you go to any group of people who are being oppressed, who are living in lack, who are living in problems all the time, consistently, the problem is that there's something that the one who's keeping them there knows that they don't know. And the point is that the moment they're able to close the knowledge, the deficiency, they will be able to fight for their freedom. And that's what you get freedom fighters. You have people like Luther King, like Nkrumah, like Mandela, who will not take the situation. Why? Because they knew something that the other people who were trying to control knew, or sometimes they even knew better than them. You know, so they could not take that. And so the more you upgrade the knowledge for your freedom, you know, you will close the gap. And so individually it's the same. There are a lot of things that they have told us that have led us into the situations that we find ourselves in. You know, for instance, they told us so much about consumer debt. If you live in some of these countries, or you can use money to buy TV, you can use money to buy a car, to buy a house, you know, those things. And your grandmother did it, your grandfather did it, your parents did it, and you have no other alternative but to do it. And you see that they did that, and they never controlled a lot of money, a lot of freedom, a lot of privilege. You can only do otherwise when you close the gap of their ignorance, because you can see that it controlled everything that they did. Control their time, their work. They sometimes even they don't have any freedom at all. It's because of the knowledge that they left there. So if you want things to improve, they can only happen when you have improved knowledge. And when you continue to improve knowledge, you're closing that deficiency in knowledge. And resource, they are the proof of knowledge, especially the quality one. So it's not just they sent you. If you're not getting results, if you're not improving the situation, if you're not solving the problems, then we have to question the knowledge that they gave us. And they can only control us by what we don't know. Always remember that. So if you feel like you're being controlled, it's something that the people who are controlling you know. Same in Africa. It's something that we don't know. And those who are trying to control us know something. It's not because they're intelligent, they're not intelligent. Just that some things just happen out of history. And so they have structured some things out of history. For instance, take visa. Why is it that you want to go to another country? They come here without any strict rules and laws. When you want to go to their country, they come here anytime they want. A passport. Who said that? Who said those? Who said those rules? That if you are from this country, you have to go through a lot of stress to get visa, in spite of what you may have achieved at a personal level. You know, And the advantage is that they put something. The benefit of the structure, whether by default or by anything, I don't know, which they benefits them and they keep the others, you know. So what is the point of you running to even go to stay in a country that does not even respect you? They don't give you any proper job. The frustrations are too much, yet people want to go. What is the problem? It's the knowledge deficiency. It's not just because they want better life. There's something that somebody put in them. And so long as that thing is in them, you can always control them with that. You know? And so they made you believe that what you have is nothing and what they have is everything. Yet when you get there, you see that it takes too much to get that thing. It's almost, it takes almost your life to get a living. And why do we still consistently defend that and believe in that? It's the knowledge they put in us. You know, it's what they left. The things that they have made you see on TV or in the books. The things that they show you all the time. It's deficiency that they have created in you. So no matter what, you will still, even if they are killing you, you will still defend them. And so you can only do what you know. What you know. So it's knowledge. But the best form of knowledge is the knowledge that liberates you to live in the freedom that your human soul wishes. And it comes through proper enlightenment and conscious effort. And until one of us gets to know that we have problem, and the difference is that is lack of knowledge of ourselves, about the things that are much more important, the things that they have told us are important. For instance, getting financial freedom is more important than just getting a job. And so some people, instead of it getting to establish, or let's say building a business, if you're able to build a business well, it's far more important than just praising yourself by getting a job somewhere. And you succeeding, let's say if you're born in Ghana, if you're able to build a business here, it's far more better, because you're creating opportunities for people than you running to go and live in, say, in America, and you know, things like that. But they have put those in us, and so people will even build a lot of argument around it and come up with all kind of data to support why their decision is right. It's right, so long as you have your freedom, so long as you believe that is the kind of freedom that you want, so long as you believe that that is the best life that you can live, and so long as you're not just living for yourself, you know, then it could be a right scenario, you know. So understanding you know, that, or you understanding that knowledge, all that they told you, is responsible for whatever results that we are getting. And if it's wrong, they will control us. If it's not wrong, we will have our liberty. So our ignorance is responsible for people cheating us and taking advantage of us all the time. That is the deficit, you know. So that's why they control the time, the resources that you have. They control your life, your destiny. You know, some of these footballers, look at them. At their critical age, they will pick them. They pay them millions, but half of it is tax. And then they get something around them. The next thing is that they get them into trouble. You know, it's the system. It's the knowledge deficit. So the moment you start to get that money, you have to close that knowledge, or everything that they have given you, they will take it back. The system. It's the same deficit. What makes you think that every wants to be in active politics? They have never tried anything with their lives. They just finish college. They go and join political party. The next minute they are the minister to get critical positions. And then we expect that man to perform. He's not tried a lot of things with his life, so don't expect so much from him. Because school and politics cannot produce a leader. Leader is produced out of the doings of life. The multidisciplinary experiences that he has gone through. You know, a lot of experience that he has acquired through a lot of things. The courage that he has assumed, and the courage that he has put to work over his life before he got to that position will be responsible for the results that he makes at that position. So you're not expecting a lot of results from that guy just because he went to Legon and became a minister. It does not work. But because of the ignorance, people expect that man to come out and do something. He will not. Because you can only do what you know, what you have put to work. So before they give you the opportunity to become a president, you should have proved something. You should have done something. Then when you get there, you don't have problem because you know you have proven, you've proved something. You have proven something. So you can go. And we can go to sleep. You perform. So this is all some things that we can all see. The man he started an NGO, he got a lot of money. Out of that, he built some things. And then that man is trying to tell you how to get money. That's knowledge deficit. So he will not get it because he's not done it himself. He's not done it himself. So the knowledge is what is responsible for the freedom that people enjoy. And a lot of people are looking for financial freedom. So if the knowledge is weak there, the financial freedom will never come. And Africans are looking for that freedom. It's not the freedom. We are looking for freedom beyond what the Nkrumah gave us, what the Nkrumah and his people gave us. We are looking for a freedom of dignity. That where you go anywhere in the world, you'll be respected as a human being. And that we would have to create it ourselves. And prove that we are ready to take our own destiny in our own hands. Until we prove that, even the people who created that problem, long-term problem for us, that we have not been able to figure out what to do, there are still the people who are telling us that we are stupid. Why? Because of the knowledge difference. The knowledge difference. So you look for the knowledge about our identity, our history, our achievement, the value for lives. You should close that gap. You should be able to have value for lives. If you are deficient in that, you will not achieve much in this life. How you take work, how you handle your time, how you handle your finances, whether it's a group or whether it's an individual. Knowledge about developing tools that solve the problem that you are confronted with. It's not everything that you are going to call a house, a building collapses here, and you are going to Israel to call somebody to come and help you to take the people out. How? A small building collapses, and then you go to Israel. That is Africa, And so these things will make people believe that we are not there, but really we are there. We are there. Unless some people have found out that we can do a lot of things ourselves. So commit to excellence, commit to honesty, commit to perseverance, commit to constant self-improvement, and your life will switch the moment you close the deficit. The deficit is actually ignorance, and it works to benefit the other man. It will not teach you so long as it's benefiting. So they can only control you by what you don't know. And so improve on yourself, commit to, at least if you cannot change the one that is for the entire country, you can change the one that is our own level. And part of it is your persuasions about the things that are important to you and how you handle those things. The things that you hold on so much to. They told you in school you're very happy, you have to do law, and when you do law you get money. That's a lie. That's not true. Don't believe it. The professor who taught you the law, go and ask him if it's true. You have to become this. If you go to school to read this course, you become rich. That is a lie. There's no course that is making anybody rich. When you get this job, you become rich. There's no job that makes anybody rich. What makes anybody rich is the knowledge of money that they have. We are not talking of living a comfortable life. We are talking of creating wealth, freedom. And that is different. So the persuasion that when you get, when you go to some of the schools, you see how the people with certain courses behave. You'll be disciplined when you come out of school. You see that there's more to that than what they told you. So you close that before you even finish school. That life is not about the course. Life is not about the job that you do, especially if you want to create freedom, financial freedom, freedom of your choice, freedom to choose where you want to live, where you want to go, what kind of work you want to do with your life. that will call for, first, the proper knowledge. If you live with a lot of the knowledge that they gave you, you cannot get otherwise. The results will not be otherwise. It will be just the results that they told you. So don't believe that there is any course anywhere that is better than the other one. Because when you finish school, you get this job. After 5 years, you see that it's not true. It's not true. Go around and see the people who have created businesses and look at the courses that they did. Even go. Even though I'm not for that, even go to Parliament and ask of the educational background of the parliamentarians. You only succeed in this life when you have a plan and you have the courage to pursue the plan. And that closes the knowledge difference. And so when you train the children to believe that once they're doing this course, once they were here, they are better, that's a lie. That's a lie. You put in the children how to work, how to be diligent, how to be persevering, how to be honest, how to set goals for themselves, how to push themselves beyond the limit. Those are the things that makes people succeed and live a fulfilled life. They have nothing to do with those things. Are they not important? They're important. Go to the school to read the course that you want. But it's just about the course. Get to the profession that you want. It's just about the profession and what you can do to support the country. But when it comes to the idea, because most people go to school, go to choose the courses based on money. And that is a serious knowledge deficit. That's why when you are talking to them, especially those who live outside, the man is paid 100. The man is paid 100,000 a year. That's a very good job. 200,000 a year dollars. That's a good job. Yet your whole persuasion of you was to get money. But that's nothing. 200,000 a year is nothing. You have not eaten. You have not paid the rent. You have not bought anything. You have not paid school fees. So it's nothing. But why you so much hold on and think that is something because of the knowledge difference? It's because of the knowledge difference. It's because what they told you about money, what they told you about what is no money. So you are still convinced, even though you look at it, but you're still very convinced that that is a good figure. Because they told you that. And that is the only knowledge that you have. You can only do what you know. So you paid a lot of school fees to get that course, and they are paying you 100,000, 200,000 a year, and you so believe that is so good money. No, there's a certain cap of knowledge. There's a certain cap that they have placed. The ones who are controlling the millions, they don't think like that. They don't think like that. Those who are controlling the wealth, they don't see it that way. No. You don't see 200,000 a year as money. Yet you have gone to a lot of schools to be paid that. And you're so happy, you're so defending it, and yet when you look at what you are saving, the only reason why you are happy is because you look at your village and the friend that you went to primary school with doesn't have that. So you think that you're better off than that friend. That's not true. You compare yourself with those who are living there, those who call themselves wealthy in the country that you live, and look at what you're getting and what they are getting, and you see that no, you're still under the bottom. So it's knowledge deficit. Because the country you live in, there are a lot of people who are controlling billions. So if money is the reason, what you are saying is money, no money. Because in the country that you live in, a lot of people can create money easily. So if is money the reason, then go and get that knowledge. Go and get it and fight to get that money. But if money is not the reason you chose those schools and you chose those professions, then maybe it's okay. But if your sole reason, and which is why people move out of here in the first place, is to get money. And if you want money, then go and get the right knowledge to create the money in big figures, than trying to compare yourself with those who live in your village. You say that, I can produce 50,000. The friend in Ghana has nothing. That's not the bet. The bet is the country you live in. That's where you create that money. And so if you don't have that kind of money, don't come and tell us that you're very rich. That's not true. Because where you are not that rich. You're poor. So that is it. And it's knowledge deficit. It's knowledge, because they have confused you to believe that that is money. That's not money at all. That's no money. Just as they confused the other guy with a house and a car doing his business, that here it's difficult to get a visa and move. You see? Or just as somebody continues to tell you that God will solve all your problems for him, so continue to spend all your days in church and spend all your money those things, the same. It's knowledge deficit. Just as you believe that when you're going somewhere, there's a demon somewhere which can control you. It's not knowledge deficit. The deficit creates fear and lack of satisfaction in your life, and they control you with that all the time. They create inferiority, they create deficiency. That is the deficit. And so if you see these things in your life, it means that the knowledge is weak. So you have to better it and go for the one that works. So whatever your life, wherever your life, and whatever you're doing with your life, the only responsibility that you have is to close the knowledge. Because until you know it, you can do it. And Africans, we have a certain level of knowledge. The rest of the world also has some knowledge, and they believe that what they have is better than ours. And we have tend to believe that what they have is better than us. And that's why they get the results that they get, and we also get the results that we get. That's why the best of our brains still continue to move and thinking that here will change. So knowledge deficit is a major thing. But you have to close it, and you have to close it at least at the personal level. And if you can close it at the personal level, and I can close it at the personal level, another person closes it at the personal level, at least we'll be changing our lives. And maybe, hopefully, the whole country can change and the whole continent can improve. So I have talked about knowledge deficit. The network has not been that good today. But I have said that the only thing that somebody controls you, only an institution controls you, any group of people control you, is because they know something that you don't know. So they control us with what we don't know, and they control us with what they have let us know. And that's why those who fight for freedom for their people, for themselves, by the time that they were fighting for the freedom, there is a certain knowledge that they had. That's why they were able to fight for that freedom. So at the personal level, saying there's certain knowledge that you have to have for you to see how to live your life in freedom and in liberty. Because that is what the Creator put in all of us, that you live your life in liberty, in freedom. That you're not controlled. Somebody is not controlling your time, your finances, your destiny. They control everything about you. Then why did you come here in the first place? So the resource is only the proof of the knowledge, the quality of knowledge that you have. So if everybody is controlling everything that you have, it means that the quality of knowledge that you have is weak. So you can't use it to fight for your freedom or establish your freedom. Knowledge is responsible for change, so close that knowledge. And that knowledge that we are talking of is the knowledge that has to do with the time that you have, the life that you live, the money that you control, the work that you do, the business that you create, your understanding of yourself, of your identity as an African, so to say, or as another race, so that somebody will not just look down upon you and for you to feel that somebody is better than you. If you believe that somebody is better than you because you're an African, that's knowledge deficiency. That's knowledge deficiency. So ignorance is responsible for our unproductivity, our poverty, our lack, and the diseases, because you believe that somebody is better. The moment that you close that gap, you can take control of a lot of things. And they have pushed this kind of knowledge. Nobody is responsible for this. I don't think another person or another group is responsible for this. But some things can be set on default, just as how history or how times go. So they tend to fall to favor some people, and they tend to be disadvantaged from some other people. So it's not that some people are more intelligent. No, I don't believe that. The politics pushes us to think in a certain way. The media, the school, the family, the culture, they have pushed us to think in a certain way. And by that, they use what they have pushed on us to control our taste, our passion. That's why they can do advert. They can program your mind to think in a particular way that they know when you will come and buy what. They can push this advert on you when you go to the shop. They are controlling how you think. You will buy, whether you like it or not, because they have put it in you. So what Africa needs to solve our problems is to fill that gap. And that gap is made up of the wrong identity, the wrong history that you have told us, and they have told people about us. Our respect for lives and the value system that we have, our approach to work, our understanding of time, the importance of money, how you even understand God and how you serve. But there's a lot of ignorance on that, where people think that serving God, the way we think that God is and how we serve Him, because almost every African lives in God, yet how we serve Him is an imbalance. It's an imbalance, seriously. So commit to excellence, whatever that you are given to. Commit to excellence, commit to honesty, commit to perseverance, commit to improvement. And if you're not getting the results, look at the knowledge that you have. Check again. If somebody has the enlightenment, go for them, because nobody owns knowledge actually. Knowledge, we are not the creator of knowledge. Somebody has created that knowledge. And so when somebody is sharing with you, it doesn't mean that that person is really better, just that they have committed to study something. That's what they know. And so there's no shame in trying to ask somebody what you don't know, because nobody created knowledge. It's like life. Nobody created life, so nobody owns life. It's God. So the moment your life will change, the moment you switch to close that deficit. And so is the country. It will switch when we get to know that there's a certain level of knowledge that we don't know. So the difference between people, countries, and companies is the knowledge deficit, the difference in knowledge. And so they can continue to control you by what we don't know. So, and sometimes you can be taught to be a slave, and you may not know it. You can only know that you're a slave by the frustration. You see that you are not free. There's a lot of things that agitate you. It means that you are becoming a slave. You can't leave the one that you are. It means that somebody else is calling the shot. And so work on that. We are all working on that. Nobody knows it all. And so close the gap. Close the gap for the country, close the gap for yourself, close the gap for the continent. And don't let people just treat us anyhow, because they believe that we are ignorant people. There's knowledge out there for ourselves, for our history, for the things that we can do to change generations.